1 Corinthians 13:15 says, "And now abide faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love." And the Holy Spirit this morning asked, "Why is love the last?" I was at church on Sunday for a prayer group, and somebody was talking about the fact that love was mentioned last, and yet is the greatest. And she shared a few thoughts of why that's so, and I let it go. But today the Holy Spirit brought it back up to say, what is love mentioned last if it's the greatest of these? And our key is in the word "the greatest," because Jesus told the disciples that he who is the greatest among you shall be everyone's servant. And because love is the greatest, love is everyone's servant. And love, as a servant, puts itself last, which is why love is last in order. And it makes sense that he who has love, the love that Jesus came to demonstrate, that love that humbled himself and washed the disciples' feet, that's the kind of love that puts itself last. It's maybe the love that sits down last or eats last to make sure others have enough. And there's a certain aspect of the heart and the character of God, because Jesus himself said, "He who's the greatest among you." And the reason he washed the disciples' feet is because he was the greatest among them. So he knew that he was to be the servant of everyone around that table. So he went ahead and washed everybody's feet. So it's telling the Holy Spirit that, when we're talking about the fruit of the Spirit, love is mentioned first in Galatians. You have love, joy, peace, and so on. And he said it's because love is the firstborn among many brothers. Does that remind you of anyone? Jesus is the firstborn among many brothers, us being the brothers. And that's why love is mentioned first there. The first character, the first fruit the Holy Spirit produces in our lives, it's love. Which is why John speaks so much in 1 John about that he who is born of God will love. Because it's the very first sign, the very first thing the Holy Spirit produces in us. The first fruit on the tree is love. And now, why is it the greatest though? And we know he talks about the fact that tongues and knowledge and prophecy are all going to vanish, because he says that when that which is perfect is come, you no longer need that which is in part. And what I really liked is that he talks about speaking in tongues, but then he says, Paul says in verse 11, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child," referring to even speaking in tongues as a spiritual child's thing. "I understood as a child, and I thought as a child." And here in verse 2 it says that if I have the gift of prophecy and I understand all mysteries and all knowledge, now he's saying that even I understood and I thought as a child, because even our understanding of prophecy, our understanding of the mysteries of God are as a child. Like we're still yet children, not have yet come to the fullness, the maturity of what we're going to be. So tongues are speaking as a child. Prophecy and the revelation knowledge we have is understanding and thinking as a child. But those things will be put aside when we are fully mature. So why is love the greatest? Well, faith and hope and love. We know that we are going to see face to face. Now we see through a glass darkly, but then face to face. And according to Romans 8:24, it says, "For we are saved by hope. But hope that is seen is not hope. For what a man sees, why does he yet have hope for it?" So once you see something, you no longer need to hope for it. Once we see face to face, you have no need of hope to hope for something that is already being seen. So therefore love is greater than hope. Why is it greater than faith? Well, Hebrews 11:1 says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. So if we see it face to face, you have no need of confidence and conviction of things not seen, because you're seeing them. So we see that we'll have no need of hope, and we'll have no need of faith. But love, however, there's always room for love, and that's the one thing that will never pass. So today it's something that is on me as my children have gone above and beyond to just have that thought of love. What would that greatest love do in situations like these? What do I need to do in my life to put myself last? I work, my husband writes research papers for the company that we work at, and when they write the authors, I'm sure a lot of thought goes into it, but it's based on like seniority, and the most important person, the highest ranking, always goes first. And you can just look at the authors or the authors of the email and see the sequence of importance. And it's just so counterintuitive the way God has it, that truly the greatest is to be last, to save the best for last, to humble yourself in such a way, to really just be last. And it's right there, but it's not yet alive in me, because it's such a different way of thinking. So today my prayer for me and for you is, where are the places where we ought to show the love of being last?